In Mexico, most parliament members approved the changes to the mining law to protect lithium and mining plants. And Russia offered nationalist and foreign mercenary battalions located in the Azovstal region of Ukraine to cease hostilities in order to lay down their arms. A U.S. base in Syria was the target of a suspected explosive charge attack on Tuesday. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada Cruz, from the TeleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. And now we begin. In Mexico, most parliament members approved the changes to the mining law to protect lithium and mining plants. With 298 votes in favor and 197 abstentions, the parliamentarians approved the mining law to acknowledge that lithium is patrimony of the nation and its exploration and exploitation be reserved for the exclusive benefit of the Mexican people. The new law also stipulates the nation should keep the benefits from the mining industry as well, and the rights of indigenous and Afro-Mexican peoples during the processes of exploration, exploitation, commercialization, and use of the lithium. The newly approved initiative has been put forward by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who said that lithium has a strategic role in the nation's energy transition.
Approved by 275 votes, the article is reserved in terms of initiative, approved in general and in particular, the draft decree by which various precepts of the mining law are amended, and added, with the modification accepted by the Assembly, it passes to the Senate of the Republic for its constitutional effects.
And Mexico's Senate received on Tuesday the presidential proposal for reform to the mining law in order to preserve lithium and hydroelectric companies. The president of the board of directors, Olga Sánchez Cordero, confirmed having received the text of the reform initiative, which she assured has the nationalization of lithium as its main objective. She also informed that the creation of a company dedicated to the research, exploration, and exploitation of this mineral is being evaluated, and work is being done to determine to which the state are touch. The document was approved this Monday in the Chamber of Deputies and sent to the Senate for its analysis and corresponding opinion. It will be then analyzed and voted in the plenary this Tuesday. Argentina's economy minister, President Alberto Fernandez, announced on Monday a series of measures aimed at counteracting the high rate of inflation, which stood at 6.7% in March. From the White House to the White Room of the Casa Rosada government palace, the minister announced that in order to restore the income of more than 10 million workers who do not receive a formal income, single earners and private household workers, the government will pay a bonus of 18,000 pesos, about $150. Moreover, another bonus of 12,000 pesos, approximately $100, will be granted to people who receive the minimum retirement pension. On the other hand, the executive seeks to apply a windfall income tax to companies with profits over 1 billion pesos per year. Minister Guzman said that in 2021, only 3.2% of Argentinian companies had that level of profits.
People found between the ages of 18 and 65 years of age will get a government aid of 18,000 pesos.
Argentinian Economy Minister Martín Guzmán also said the measures are aimed at counteracting inflation and the effects of the conflict in Ukraine.
We're aiming at establishing a mechanism to guarantee that this war may not excessively impact the economy, that it may not set our society backwards.
In Colombia, the presidential candidate of the Center Hope Coalition, Sergio Fajardo, proposed to eliminate the Attorney General's office after stating that the control agencies do not act independently. Fajardo's proposals comes in the midst of the discussion of the fight against corruption in the presidential campaign. The candidate said that if the control agencies do not act independently, it is not possible to truly fight corruption in Colombia. In this regard, they proposed that the functions of such entity be taken over by the Ombudsman Office and by a specialized unit of the Prosecutor's Office. He also said he will eliminate the territorial divisions of the Comptroller's Office and that fiscal supervision of the departments and municipalities will be done directly by the Comptroller's General Office. These proposals will be added to 3 other issues as part of a reform that he has promised to implement should he make it to the presidency. Social and human rights organizations in Colombia denounced the assassination this past Monday of a social leader and of a signatory of the peace agreement. The murder of social leader John Jairo Esquivel took place in the department of Arauca. The authorities said that the death of the leader took place in the unknown circumstances. He was a member of the Peasants' Guard and of the National Peasants Association. Meanwhile, the regional ombudsman's office warned about the increase of violence in Arauca as a consequence of the confrontation between armed groups. Also on Monday, Fraseneth Perez, a signer of the peace agreement, was also murdered in the department of Mera. The crime was committed by the victim's partner. Perez was in the process of being socially reintegrated to the municipality of Mesetas. So far this year, there have been 56 murders of social leaders in Colombia, while the number of murders of peace signatories has reached 15 since the pact was signed. The president of Uruguay, Luis Lacalle Pou, will hold a meeting this Tuesday with his Ecuadorian counterpart, Guillermo Lasso, in Montevideo to discuss trade and bilateral cooperation. President Luis Lacalle will meet Guillermo Lasso and his accompanying ministers at the Executive Tower in Montevideo. Local press reported that the presidents will exchange views on risk management, natural disasters, tackling child malnutrition, transparency, and countering corruption. Today, the Ecuadorian president will also take part in a meeting of the Latin American Association of Integration. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. Russia offered nationalist and foreign mercenary battalions located in the Azovstal region in Ukraine to cease hostilities in order to lay down their arms. The Russian Ministry of Defense has again proposed to the Ukrainian troops the option to surrender in order to preserve their lives as of this Tuesday at 12 noon Moscow time. Authorities also specify that the Kremlin troops will guarantee the right to life and the respect for the norms of the Geneva Convention regarding the treatment of prisoners of war, as already happened with the rest of the Ukrainian soldiers in the same region in the past days. At the same time, they added that the Ministry of Defense will communicate with the UN and other international entities to inform about a possible surrender. And the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, met with Armenian Premier Nikol Pashinyan to discuss bilateral ties and the security situation in the region. Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan stressed this Russian head of state's visit not only bears a practical relevance, but also is symbolically significant due to the years spent by both countries strengthening mutual ties. Pashinyan highlighted that the bilateral agenda is packed with initiatives of economic, cultural, military, and technical cooperation. Putin, on behalf of Russia, made notice of the 30 years of commercial relations with Yerevan and mentioned that cooperation between both countries extends to the cultural dimension as well.
One of the leading directions of cooperation is certainly the economy. In 2021, our growth was 12.8% according to our statistics, and in the first months of this year, plus another 50%. This is a very good indicator, especially in current times. Of course, security issues, including those related to Karabakh, will be in the center of our attention. There are still many problems, I agree with you. We are constantly in contact with you, every week or 10 days. We definitely talk on the phone.
Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan said that Russian forces are security guarantors in the region.
I must once again note your exceptional role in the ceasefire in Nagorno-Karabakh in 2020, after which Russian peacekeepers have been operating in Nagorno-Karabakh, and it should be noted that the activities of Russian peacekeepers ensure security. It seems that we need to look at what to do to make the activity of peacekeepers more effective.
We have more on the matter. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov announced that the special operation deployed by Moscow in Ukraine will enter a new phase. Lavrov told reporters that this new stage is an important moment in the whole special operation. He also stressed that Russia does not plan to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, following statements of the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about Moscow's alleged plans to use nuclear weapons. The Russian Foreign Minister also said his country has no intention to topple the Ukraine's government, but wants Ukrainians to decide on their own how they want to continue living, while recalling that the aim of this special military operation is the complete liberation of the republics of Donetsk and Luhansk. And on Monday night, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the Russian offensive to regain the Donbas had begun.
Now we can confirm that the Russian troops have started the battle for Donbass, which they have been preparing for a long time. A large part of the Russian army is now engaged in this offensive. No matter how many Russian soldiers they bring here, we will fight. We will defend ourselves. We will do it every day. We will not give up anything Ukrainian, and we do not need what is not ours.
At Mariupol, the port city south of Donbas, the images of the aftermath of the war. A team from TeleSUR continues reporting from the area, where recently you can see many people in cars coming back, trying to enter the city, probably to bring some aid to the citizens who remain there and who are organizing themselves to clean around the mess. Our special envoy, Alejandro Kirk, has more details.
Every time we come back to Mariupol, the port city south of Donbas, we get the same impression, the same amazement by the sheer destruction that took place here. The combat must have been ferocious. But at the same time, this time, we saw a different situation. The many cars, vehicles were trying to enter the city. Also, within the city, we saw people reorganizing themselves around their buildings, the parks, cleaning up the mess that was created by the combat. And this is comes together along with the spring that is coming up very quickly here in this part of the world. To speak about the meaning of all this, we spoke with this Russian poet and writer Vadim Tsiganov, who is here also participating in the delivery of humanitarian aid to the population. Let's hear what he said to us.
All this was done by the Azov regiment, shooting people on purpose, setting people on fire on purpose. Well, they know it's not their territory, it's Russian territory. That's why they came here and burned and treated these people as second-class people. All against the Russians. There is an anti-Russian ideology here. I'm clearly thinking that a new world is being born where the soul and the figure confront each other. Definitely, two worlds will come out of here. One of American type and the other of Russian type, where there is love, justice, and God. That is, don't murder, don't steal, live according to your conscience. This is how we Russians would like to live.
Vadim Tsiganov, writer and poet, speaking on the good and evil in this battle. Today, while we were participating in this humanitarian aid delivery, we could hear and see the smoke of the renewed attacks by the Russian aviation, also from the sea, and the artillery against the Azov Metal, the steel mill where it is the last point of resistance by the militants of the Azov battalion and the foreign mercenaries. The Russian Ministry of Defense announced today that there would be another opportunity for them to surrender. Let's be reminded that mercenaries do not have rights according to the Geneva Convention on war prisoners. So their future is very dark, if we wish, if they don't take this opportunity. That's it for now from Mariupol, Donbass.
Thank you, Alejandro, for this report. That was Alejandro Kirk, our reporter there in the field in Mariupol, the port city in the Donbas region. Yes, the future is dark, but we must shed light on it. Now we continue. The United Nations Security Council meets this Tuesday to assess the humanitarian situation in Ukraine. Security Council members will discuss the situation in Ukraine. They will review the efforts being made by different UN agencies to deliver aid to Ukraine. Prior to this special meeting, the UN had put forward several proposals to achieve the cessation of hostilities in different localities to create corridors to evacuate civilians. Also, United Nations representatives warn about the global consequences of the conflict in Ukraine, considering that Russia and Ukraine provide 30% of the world's wheat and barely 1/5 of the corn and more than half of the sunflower oil commercialized in the planet. The government of France has asked the European Union to declare an embargo on Russian oil in order to reduce Moscow's revenues. The request was made by France's Economy Minister Bruno Le Maire, who said that the government of Paris is in a dialogue with the European Union to convince it of the need to declare an embargo on Russian crude oil to diminish Russia's access to foreign currency. Le Maire said the initiative is in response to Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. On the other hand, the International Energy Agency said unilateral sanctions of the West against Russia could have a negative impact on the world oil supply and cause an increase in prices. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. A United States base in Syria was the target of a suspected explosive charge attack on Tuesday. The United States Department of Defense reported that at least 4 people were injured as a result of the explosive charges placed near the U.S. troops. So far, the White House authorities have not identified those responsible for the attack. Washington and allied troops have been in Syria illegally since 2014 without the authorization of the executive in Damascus and are accused by the government of plundering the country's resources and training, financing, and arming terrorist gangs. Israeli forces carried out an airstrike on the city of Rafah in the Gaza Strip. Israeli jets struck the southern Gaza Strip in the early hours of Tuesday morning, according to local media and eyewitnesses. Following the strikes, Hamas spokesperson Hazem Qasem issued a public statement on which he said the Israeli raid hit empty sites and congratulated those who fought the Israeli planes. The strike was carried out in response to a rocket fired from the Gaza Strip that was intercepted by the Israeli army, the first such attack in months amid rising tensions over the Al-Aqsa Mosque in eastern occupied Jerusalem. On Monday, President Mahmoud Abbas and Russian President Vladimir Putin held a telephone conversation. During the exchange, President Abbas briefed his Russian counterpart of the latest developments in East Jerusalem regarding the daily raids on the Al-Aqsa Mosque by Israeli extremists under the protection by the Israeli occupation forces, who act brutally against innocent worshippers in flagrant violation of international law, and also the legal and historical status quo. For his part, President Putin emphasized Russia's firm position in support of the rights of the Palestinian people and that Russia will continue to give its political support to the Palestinian cause in all international forums and what is happening in Jerusalem. In Afghanistan, at least 20 people were killed and 15 others were wounded on Tuesday after bomb attacks on educational centers on the Shiite Hazara minority in western Kabul. The attacks took place this morning at the Mumtaz School and later in the Abdul Rahim Shahid Educational Center in the area inhabited by the Hazara minority in Dasht-e Barshi. They also said that the casualty figures are preliminary because the count of victims is not over yet. Although the attacks have not yet been claimed, everything seems to point to the extremist group Islamic State, which usually claims these types of attacks against the Hazara, whom they consider traitors. Now we address other topics. A magnitude 6.2 earthquake struck off the southern coast of the Philippines on Tuesday, with authorities initially reporting no damage or declaring a tsunami warning. The United States Geological Survey located the hypocenter at 39 kilometers depth off the east coast of Mindanao's island at 9:23 local time. The nearest town being Nonay, 28 kilometers away, while the city of Davao, the largest on the island, is located 128 kilometers away. The Philippines sits on the so-called Pacific Ring of Fire, an area of great seismic and volcanic activity in which some 7,000 earthquakes are registered every year. And the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa declared a national state of disaster on Monday night following recent floods that have left at least 450 people dead, nearly 4,000 homes destroyed, and more than 40,000 people affected in the east of the country.
The Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs has been mandated to gazette the declaration of a national state of disaster. This is to ensure an effective response across all spheres of government to the extreme weather events and conditions that have occurred in several parts of the country.
In addition, the South African president announced that the government will focus on three fronts when dealing with the disaster, focusing on relief, recovery, and reconstruction of the affected areas.
We will be responding to this disaster in three phases. First, we will focus on the immediate humanitarian relief, ensuring that all affected persons are safe and that their basic needs are met. Second, we will focus on stabilization and recovery, rehousing people who have lost homes, and restoring provision of services. And thirdly, we will focus on reconstruction and rebuilding.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada Cruz. Thank you for watching.